Hello students, today we shall do your chapter 6 verbs from your Super English Grammar book. Now students, what is a verb? Let us understand what a verb means. Verb means word in Latin. It says something about a subject, like what the subject does, what is done to the subject, and what the subject is. Now, to define verbs, a verb is a word that tells us when an action is being done. On whom? On the subject. Now, the being of something, that means how the verb exists in the sentence. The having of something or how it is in position in a sentence. The doing of something, that means some action is being done by the subject. Now, every subject in a sentence must have a verb. Without a verb, no sentence can exist. Now, we will come to learn about the different kinds of verbs. Now, verbs are primarily of two types. They are their main verbs and helping verbs. Now, main verbs again are divided into regular verbs and irregular verbs. And helping verbs are divided into auxiliary verbs, which are primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Now, there is something called action verbs. Now, they are transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. And there is something called linking verbs. That means a verb that acts as a link between two words. It connects the subject of a sentence to a noun, pronoun, or an adjective in the predicate of the sentence that renames or describes the subject. Now, we will learn about the main verbs in detail. Let us first understand what are regular verbs. Regular verbs are those verbs which will form the past tense of the base form of the verb by adding ed or d or t to the base form of a verb. Now you will ask, what is the base form of a verb? Base form of a verb is the simplest form of a verb which has no special ending or suffixes added to it. Now, for example, base form paint. The paint is an example of a base form of a verb. Now, if I add the suffix means which comes after. I add ed to it, then it becomes the past form painted. So, base form paint, past form painted. Now we come over to irregular verbs. Irregular verbs are those verbs that form their past tense and past participle ways in the following ways. Now, what is first? Let us understand what is past tense of a verb. When does a verb take its past tense? Now, a verb will take a past tense when we add the suffix. Suffix means what comes after. Prefix means what comes before. So, when the present tense of a verb, we add ed suffix to it, then it takes the past tense of a verb. Like for example, the base form watch. The past form, to watch we add ed, it becomes watched. Now let us understand what is past participle of a verb. Now we know that the three forms of the past participle are regular, irregular and the adjective. Now let us understand in depth what is the regular form of the past participle, what is irregular form of the past participle and what is the past participle which is used as an adjective. Now, regular form of the past participle will end in ed. It shows a past action. That means the action has already been completed. So, regular form ends in ed, shows a past action. Irregular form of the past participle uses the word has. Please remember, irregular form of the past participle will always have the word has and it will put the verb into its past tense form. This also demonstrates or shows a past action, but irregular form of past participle will have the word has in it, whereas regular form will only end in ed. Now, as an adjective, the past participle of a regular verb is used as an adjective in the sentence also. It describes something which has happened in the past. Now we will come over to what are action verbs. Now we know action verbs are of two kinds. They are your transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Now, what are transitive verbs? Now, a verb that requires an object to complete its sense. Now, students, we know that every sentence has a subject and every sentence is incomplete without a verb. In the case of transitive verbs, a verb that this kind of verb will require an object to complete its sense. The true meaning of the sentence will come only when the verb has a object. Now, the word transitive means passing over. What will pass over? And it will mean that an action is being done by the subject on a particular object. Now, we will be clear when we see this example. Ram took the ball. Now, in this sentence, what is Ram? Ram is the subject. What did he took is the verb. So, what did he take? He took the object ball. So, Ram is a subject and he took an object, the ball. So, the action is being done by Ram, who is the subject, on the object, which is the ball. Therefore, here, took is the transitive verb. That means the action is being done by Ram, the subject, on the ball, the object. So, any sentence in which the verb shows an action being done by the subject on an object is a transitive verb. Means action is being passed over or being done. Next, Akash saw an aeroplane. Now, identify whether this sentence has a subject and an object. Yes, it has a subject. Akash is the subject and aeroplane is the object. Saw is the transitive verb. What is Akash doing? Akash, the subject, is seeing an object, the aeroplane. So, saw is the transitive verb. Now, in transitive verb, that means there is no action being passed over from the subject to the object. There is no object in the sentence. So, a verb that has no object is called an intransitive verb. Now, it does not require any object to complete its sense. For example, she cried bitterly. Now, what is the uh, verb here? It is cried. Who is the subject? She. Now, she is just crying bitterly, but the action is being done by the subject herself. She only is crying. The subject only is crying. There is no object here. So, the verb here, cried, is intransitive verb and bitterly is the adverb here. Now, next we come on to what are helping verbs. Now, auxiliary is the other name given for a helping verb. It is used with a main verb to form a verb phrase. Helping verbs are of two kinds, primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Now, what are primary auxiliaries? Primary auxiliaries will have a grammatical function in a sentence. They are mainly used to change the tense, that means either past, present, or future tense, or voice, means active voice or passive voice of the main verb. Now, they are used to make interrogative sentences and negative sentences. What are interrogative sentences? They are sentences which have a question word with them. They end with a question mark. They ask questions like who, what, which, when, how, why. And negative sentences are those sentences which the meaning of the sentence conveyed by it is in the negative sense. That means nothing is possible. So that means this is a negative sentence. Now, primary auxiliaries can function both as the main verb and the helping verb. Now, students, you have to remember that there are three main primary auxiliaries: be, do, and have. You have to memorize this table here. Auxiliary verbs in the, like we read, that auxiliary verbs will depend on the tense and the voice. So tense auxiliary verbs are of three kinds: be, do, and have. Now in the present tense, be is am, is are, do is do and does, have is has and have. But the same auxiliary verb in past tense, be, was, were, do, did, have, had in the past tense. Now, we will read what modal auxiliaries do. They are used with the main verb to express the tone or mood of the speaker. Some modal auxiliaries are can, could, may, might, shall, should, must, will, and would. Now, these model auxiliaries express attitudes like permission or possibility, etc. They are only used as the helping verb forward for the main verb. That means the sentence will have a main verb also, and the modal auxiliaries will act as the helping verb for the main verb. Now, for example, what does can do? Can is the modal auxiliary which indicates permission. It will give some kind of permission. It will express your potential or ability to do something. It will indicate that some permission is being given. Yes, you can do it. You can go ahead with the project example like that. You can sit for the examination. That means somebody is giving you permission or is expressing their uh, permission to or potential to write the exam or sit for the interview. You can sit for the interview. Examples. Now, what does the modal auxiliary could do? It is used in the past tense of can in indirect speech. It is used to indicate ability in the past, already done. Also used for requests and to suggest a weak possibility in the future. He could have played better. That means that is saying that he could have played much better in the past. Now, try out one. Underline the verbs and state whether they are transitive or intransitive. Name the object of each transitive verb. That means in this exercise, you will have to see whether it is a transitive or an intransitive verb. The underlined verb which is given. If it is a transitive verb, we have to identify the object because in a transitive verb, what happens? There has to be a subject who passes over the action or the doing work on the object. So let us do the first one. The sun rises in the east. Now, sun is the object. It is just rising in the east. Nothing, no action is being done by the sun, the subject, or anybody else. It is just rising in the east. So it is a intransitive verb. Now, the dog barks. Intransitive again because there is only a subject dog and no object. If it would have been the dog bit the boy, then it would have been a transitive verb in which dog is the subject and boy would have been the object. Now, he raised his hands. Now, this raised is a transitive verb. Why? Because he, the subject, is raising his hands, which are the object. That means the action is being passed over from the subject to the object, hands. Now, she fed the dog. It is transitive because she is the subject and what is she doing? She is feeding the dog who is the object over here. That means some action is being done by her on the object dog. What is the action? Feeding. Now the child has fallen asleep. Now it is a intransitive verb. Why? Because only subject child is there and he has just slept. There is no action being done by the child on any other object. Now the dog kept braying. I think this should be barking. The dog kept barking. Now, um, this is again intransitive because the dog is the subject here and it is just barking. There is no action on any external object. Now, try out two. Decide whether the underlined verb is a helping verb or a linking verb. Now, Georgia is a state just above Florida. Now, what are linking verbs? Linking verbs are those verbs which will form a link between the main noun with another noun, pronoun, or an adjective in the same sentence. So over here, Georgia is the main verb and is the linking verb which is linking the subject Georgia to Florida over here, which is the noun in the sentence. So basically, there has to be some link between the subject and the noun, pronoun, or the adjective in the sentence. Now, number two, it could rain any moment. Now, like we said, could is a modal auxiliary. So, this is a helping verb. Could is a modal auxiliary which suggests a weak possibility in the future. It could rain any moment. It has not yet rained in the present. It could rain in the future. Next, number three. Cleopatra was one of the very popular queens of the Elizabethan era. Now, this again is a linking word. Why? Because Cleopatra, the subject, is being linked or is being compared with the other popular queens of the Elizabethan era. So, was is a linking word connecting the subject Cleopatra to the queens who are the nouns in the sentence. Now, Ankit and Mukul have a boxing bag. Now, have is a helping verb and it is a primary auxiliary verb here. Why? Because, like I told you, primary auxiliary verbs answer interrogative sentences. Do Ankit and Mukul have a boxing bag? Ankit and Mukul have a boxing bag. So, have is the helping verb over here. Now, number 5. They are listening to the same song again and again. Are is the helping verb over here. Next, try out 3. Identify whether the highlighted verbs are action verbs, linking verbs, or helping verbs. Action verbs we know are either transitive or intransitive verbs. Linking verbs are those which link the subject to any noun, pronoun, or adjective in the same sentence. And helping verbs are auxiliary verbs. They can be either primary auxiliaries or modal auxiliaries. So now let us approach the exercise. Who started the civil rights movement? Now, this is an action verb. Rosa Parks was the woman who started the civil rights movement. It is a linking verb. It is linking Rosa Parks, the subject, with the person who started the civil rights movement. Now, how many days does the earth take to revolve around the sun once? Now, does is the helping verb here. Why? Because it is the present tense of the primary auxiliary to memorize the table I told you, then only you can identify what is do, does, have, had in the past tense. Now, here the word does is the present tense of the primary auxiliary to. So, does is the helping verb over here. The Earth takes 365 days to revolve around the sun once. Now, this is an action verb and it is a transitive verb. Why? Because the Earth is a subject and it is taking 365 days to revolve. That means it is the action being done is around the object, the sun. What is the action? It is revolving around the sun once. So, takes is the action verb. Which Mughal emperor built the Taj Mahal? Built is an action verb. Transitive verb because subject Mughal emperor is has built the object which is a Taj Mahal over here. Now, Shah Jahan was the Mughal emperor who built the Taj Mahal. Now, was is the linking verb, which is linking who was the Mughal emperor who built the Taj Mahal. Now, what served as homes for early humans? Now, this is again an action verb. Early humans lived in trees and caves. Lived is a action verb. It is a transitive verb. Why? Because early humans is the subject, lived is the verb, and where did they live? They lived in the object trees and caves. Now, next, can you name any one means of transportation that people have been using since ancient times? Have been is helping word, primary auxiliary. Next, house carts are being used as a means of transport since the ancient times. Now, used is the action verb over here, and it is a transitive verb because house carts is the subject. Used as a means of transport is an object, and used is the action verb over here. Next, write the correct form of verbs in brackets to make sensible sentences. Identify whether it is an irregular or regular verb. Now, we have read about regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs take the past form by just adding ed to the base form of the verb. So, enjoy becomes enjoyed. So, we enjoyed ourselves at the fair. Here, the past tense of base form of enjoy is enjoyed, formed by adding the suffix ed to it. That means if you add ed to enjoy, it becomes the past tense of the base form. Enjoy becomes enjoyed. Now, number 2, did the teacher shout at you? Now, it is a regular verb. It won't be did the teacher shouted at you. In this case, it is not shouted at you. Shout remains as shout. Here the verb is in its base or root form only. Now, number three, I felt sad when my grandmother passed away. Now, we know that irregular verbs are of three form, past participle form, and as an adjective in any sentence. So, here, feel becomes felt. I felt sad when my grandmother passed away. Now, he was surprised to see me. Now, surprise becomes surprised. This is a regular verb. Surprise, past form, surprised. The police dash him after months of searching. Catch becomes caught. This is an irregular verb. So the past form of catch is caught. The police caught him after months of searching. Now choose the correct gerund or infinitive to complete the sentences and try out five. Before that, let us understand what is a gerund and what is a infinitive. Now, gerunds are those which are the form of the verb which ends in ing, and it has the force or quality of a noun and a verb. Now, this is very important, students. Gerund is most commonly governed by a preposition. Prepositions show direction, place, or time, or they introduce the object. What do infinitives do? Infinitives are the base form of any verb and they are often followed by the word to. So to plus verb is the infinitive. Any verb preceded by to, preceded means before the verb, if the word to comes, that is called as an infinitive. To run, to swim, these are all infinitives. Now used when discussing actions without actually doing the action. That means action is not done. It is just discussing what would have been done. Now, let us go over to the exercise. Number one, my friend always volunteers baking a cake in a party or to bake. My friend always volunteers to bake in a party. To bake a cake in a party. Why? Because we know that in infinitives, we are discussing actions without actually doing the action. That means she's volunteering to bake. That means the cake has not yet been baked, but she is saying, yes, I'm ready to bake. So we use it as an infinitive form as not and not as a gerund form. Next, don't waste my time dash about your neighbors, complaining or to complain. Now, identify in this sentence if there is any preposition first. Now, we can see about is the preposition and what have we read? We have read that gerunds are mostly governed by a preposition. Preposition will show the direction, place or time or introduce an object. So over here, what is being introduced by the preposition about? Your neighbors. So about is the preposition following the gerund complaining and it introduces the object neighbors here. Therefore, it will not be the infinitive to complain, it will be the gerund complaining because there is a preposition following it which is introducing an object neighbors. So we have to, when we are asked questions about gerunds and infinitives, in case of gerunds, always find out if there is a preposition in the sentence and there is an object in the sentence. Now, number three, Thara is having trouble concentrating on the exam. To concentrate or concentrating. Now, again here, what we have to first find out whether there is a preposition. Yes, on is the preposition which is following the verb concentrating and it is introducing the object exam here. Who is the subject here? Dhara is a subject here. And what is she having? She is having trouble concentrating on the object, which is the exam. Therefore, it will be concentrating as a gerund and not to concentrate infinite. Now, number four, please allow me dash your Facebook page. Now, what have we read? We have read that infinitives are actions which are being discussed and they have not yet actually been done. So only if you allow me to join your Facebook page, I will be able to see your page. So here it will be the infinitive to join because there is no preposition here, so it cannot be joining as a gerund. It has to be to join as an infinitive. Number five, you won't forget dash your little brother on your way home, will you? You won't forget to pick up your little brother on your way home with you. Why infinitive? Because it is an action which we are discussing. It has not yet happened. I'm asking you that you won't forget to pick up your little brother on your way home with you. Action has not yet been done. It will be done if you agree. Next, try out six. Identify the form of underlined verb in the given sentences. Sheena wrote the essay proficiently. Now, wrote is the finite verb. The verb wrote is limited only to Sheena. In this sentence, wrote is the only verb here. And what is proficiently? Proficiently is the adverb. How did she write the essay? She wrote the essay proficient. Now, the verb wrote is limited only to one person here. Who is the subject? Sheena. Therefore, wrote becomes a finite verb over here. Number two, I like to read tables and adventurous books. Now, like is the finite verb. Why? Because it is used in the present tense with the subject I. I like to read tables and adventurous books. I am talking to you in the present tense. I am the subject and like is a finite verb. It is limited only to me as a subject. Next, three. Children should learn to save money at a very early age. Now, students, like I told you, all these words can, could, should, shall, might, must, these are all modal verbs. So, modal verbs should is used to give advice and recommendation. What is the recommendation being given here? That children should learn to save money at a very early age. Number four, he can sign the contract and start the project immediately. Again, the word can is there, so we can identify it as the modal verb, which expresses ability or opportunity to offer permission. That means he has been given permission to sign the contract and start the project immediately using the modal verb can. Number five, drinking is harmful for health. Now, here we identify drinking as a gerund and is the linking word. But since the underlined word is drinking, so drinking is a gerund. Drinking is a present participle form of the verb drink, now which functions as a noun. Here, the gerund is functioning as a noun and is a linking, not the gerund. Number six, the dancing doll got everybody's attention. Like we said that the uh, verb dancing over here is used as a participle. Number seven, she goes there every day. We must go to. Now, must is the modal verb which is being used here, which expresses necessity or obligation or fixed determination. She goes there every day. We must go. That means we are obliged to go there to every day. Number eight, the police challenged the studious boys to fight. Now, to fight means we know it is infinitive, but we need to give an explanation why it is used as an infinitive. Because they are challenging the studious boys to fight. The fight is not yet started. The action has not yet been done. So, it can be done. It is a probability that it could be done. Therefore, we use the infinitive to fight. Now, students, we have come to the end of your chapter. I hope the explanation of verbs has been clear to you. All the exercises have been explained to you very clearly with explanations from basics. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment sections. I will definitely help you. And if you like my channel, please like, share the video, and subscribe to my channel. Keep the notification button on so that when I post a new video, you are notified about it and can watch it. Kindly subscribe and share, students. Thank you.